All right, guys, welcome back to another episode, GPPD podcast. I'm your host, KD, with Miss Whitney.
Hello.
All right, so this will be a good one also because classmate.
What's up, classmate?
Man, it's been a while.
Almost 9 years. We're coming up
Yeah.
on 9 years.
Man.
Yeah. And he's also a lateral like myself, so we got a lot to talk about. But yeah, so we have Officer Orlando.
Like the city.
R.
of-
That R was.
Yeah.
I like it, dude. The R was good.
Yeah.
Orlando, Florida. Yes.
I'm Cuban, I got a little bit of everything in my blood. Yeah.
We're all family.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah.
I love it.
That's what matters.
Yeah. All right. Okay, so before we get started, do me a favor. Anybody, everybody that's thinking about joining, number one, do ride-alongs. Come in,
Agreed.
fill out the freaking paperwork, because every city is not a good fit for you, regardless of who you know and where you go.
Mm-hmm.
The personal history statement, start on it now, because it's like 190,000 pages.
I'm sure it's gotten worse.
Yeah, they've added a few hundred probably since we took it.
Yeah.
But no, get on that paperwork, get it started. We should be testing somewhere around April. That's the word that I'm hearing. So get ready, run, come take the test.
We need some more good people.
Absolutely. And then also detention. We could use a few, and 911 dispatchers. So get online. There's a ton of jobs out there, but GP is a good fit. If it is a good fit, you will love it. I promise.
Agreed.
All right. So without further ado, man, yeah, we're pushing 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Make you feel old?
Dude, I used to remember when I first started like looking at the 10-year guy and being like, when I get to 10 years, I'm coming up on 19 altogether. And it just, it definitely makes me feel old.
I'm jealous.
It
Okay, so we'll we never go in order. Like there's no
It shouldn't.
chronological,
No.
not in this
Yeah,
discussion.
no.
So you're coming up on 19, and you were a lateral from out of state, right?
Right. Came from Florida. I worked for County Sheriff's Office, 2 of them out there. So I worked for the Brevard County Sheriff's Office. When I first started, that was my first hire. So just think of where the space shuttles used to go up.
Mm-hmm.
That's that whole county that I used to work. And then I went over to Orange County, which is the Orlando, Florida area.
Okay. So Brevard.
Brevard County,
I've heard of that one, and is it called Miami-Dade?
Miami-Dade,
Those
and
are some of the big
Broward
ones.
County.
Broward. Okay.
Yes. So very
Broward.
similar, real close.
Yeah.
Just a couple hours apart.
I want to say that's what I heard where they were like, nope, pit bulls are illegal. It's one of those counties out there. And I was like, what? The dog breed itself is illegal to own.
But it's possible. I
Yeah.
mean, I know those couple counties, Metro-Dade,
Yeah.
Miami-Dade, and
Yeah.
Broward, they get some weird rules.
Yeah.
They do have some weird rules. And I still got family that live down there.
So, do you fly or drive when you go back?
Now, the last few years, fly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were driving at a certain point?
Yeah, at a certain point, it was just,
Man.
you have 3 little kids.
True.
Yeah.
You know, you've got a ton of luggage.
Yeah.
Sometimes driving is and we always found a place to stop, usually in the Panhandle, go to the beach.
Yeah.
Drove my parents nuts because they're the type of that just, let's drive all the way through. I'm like, no, I like to enjoy my time.
Yeah.
Just stop and stay somewhere. So
Yeah.
it wasn't too bad for us. We liked it.
I'm just imagining a lot of. See, I have 4 young children. You know, from ages 2 to 7.
Yes.
So that's stopping in between. Someone has to potty. I don't know, juice. It's just something. There's some,
Are we there yet?
right.
Listen, I prefer the flying, but in the beginning, we definitely did a lot of driving. We definitely did a lot of driving. We just got better at packing and knowing what we needed, when we didn't need, and then, just started flying. It's quicker. I like it.
Yeah. God, how often do you get back?
Usually once or twice a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
cool.
And then they come here and visit and stuff like that. So we see each other often.
Oh, that's fun. It's like a reason to travel.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah. So is that family South Florida, like towards the...
So we go from like Central Florida, East Coast,
Okay.
all the way down to South Florida. So
Yeah.
I've got like uncles and cousins and aunts that all live down in South Florida. And then my parents and siblings live in Central Florida on the East Coast side.
Okay. So, excuse my ignorance. Are they not scared of hurricanes? Because that's the one reason, like, I don't even want a vacation. I went to Pensacola one time. 12-hour drive with kids in the car. I said, just go to sleep. That's the answer. Just go to sleep. Oh, I got a potty. Just go to sleep. Let me get as close as I can.
It's for your benefit.
Yeah.
Just go to sleep. You wake up, you're here.
Yeah, but yeah, they're not scared.
No, dude. It's just you get used to it, and you start knowing the ones that you need to be paying attention to, and then the ones that you don't. Like categories 1 through 3, it's like once it starts getting 4 or 5, all right, let's start paying attention and maybe start moving somewhere.
But okay, hold on, because I'm confused. I told you, I'm ignorant to the fact. I have no idea. But do they all start out as category 1?
They usually start like tropical storms, and they can build up in strength and size. So yeah.
So okay, so that's why I would be scared at category 1, and then I'm hightailing it. Grab the kids and let's go.
It's funny when because Florida, it's the peninsula. You got it's just so narrow that usually if you've got one on the West Coast or one on the East Coast, the other side is feeling it to some degree.
Okay.
So maybe a little bit of wind and some rain, but usually you're feeling it to some extent. So when we moved here, and then the one that hit Houston, Houston's like 5.5 hours away, and my mom called freaking out, like, "Are you guys okay? Like, is there?" And I'm like, "Mom, we're 5.5 hours from the coast.
Yeah.
I see some clouds, and it's sprinkled a little."
Yeah.
I'm like, "It's not like Florida where it's one side or the other. It's like 5." And she goes, "Oh, I didn't even think about it like that." I'm like, "Yeah, no, we're not feeling it. It's not like Florida." If you hit one side or the other, I remember one year we got 4 within, I think it was like 3 months, all hitting from the West Coast and the East Coast, and they all went right through us.
Man.
I've never seen so much damage and trees down and stuff like that. And at that time, I wasn't a cop yet. I was just working in construction. I was busy. I was busy. So
I can't imagine, because you're saying like 4 in a short period of time. Hell, how does the insurance work down there? Like, I can't afford the insurance.
I mean, it's definitely the further you get out on the coast, the more expensive the insurance gets, because you're closer to where hurricanes gain strength. They gain strength from the water. So, anyways,
I guess the preparation, though, it's like a part of the culture, so you're used to that.
Right. You have people that have boards that are cut, things that you have little clips, and all you do is just, they're numbered. You got this window starts at 1, and you go all the way to 14, and you just start putting your boards up there, and everybody just gets ready, and you just realize more than likely you're going to be without power. And so you stock up on water, things that are easy to eat and stuff like that. Generators. So.
But I don't know what good would the generator work if it's flooding?
Well, some places no, some places yes. And there's definitely some places that it's flooded. You need to be, you need to be gotten out, by boat, by helicopters and stuff like that if you decided not to leave.
Yeah.
But all the places I've lived there, there was flooding that happened, but nothing to the extent that it reached the house.
Yeah.
So it just, I mean, honestly, when you live in it and experience it so often, it's just kind of like, whatever.
You get used to it. See,
you get used to it.
My husband's from Houston, and he's like, he gets used to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was like, but where do we live now? Because I know he doesn't want to go back to that. And the only thing I can think of in my head is growing up, like tornadoes up here.
Right.
So I would think about our prepreparation. That was normal for me.
Yeah.
So then my husband just like a tornado drill. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I was just used to it.
Right, you
So,
adapt. People are awesome. People just learn to adapt,
adjust.
and they do what they need to get through it. So
Yeah.
So.
I don't know. I could. Oh man, I don't know. It would scare me. Like when something is not in my control, and it's just like, man, you got to hunker down. The wind is blowing. It's about to rain, and you just. Oh no, that freaks me out. It's like gas up the car. How many miles did we get before we empty? We're gonna take all of them. Let's go.
But Katie, that's why you live here. You don't have to worry about
And
that.
it's funny because then somebody coming from Florida is going to go, oh, but that Texas heat, man, June and July, oh, we're going to have a drought. We just don't know if it's 3 weeks or 3 months. But you're going to go a little while without some water.
See, I like the heat here a lot better than Florida because you got the humidity, and I don't do well with humidity.
Yeah.
So coming here, people are like, it's still wet, wet heat over here. I'm like, as opposed to the dry heat. I'm like, but compared to Florida, it's a lot drier. I like it. I'll keep it. So yes, it gets hot, but
Yeah.
I've adapted.
Yeah. And then have you seen an alligator like in the wild? Like, yeah, I was doing something. And
Oh,
You're like,
yeah.
man, there's an alligator.
Yes. So actually, this is when I was like 17, 18 years old, I became a search and recovery diver.
Oh, wait, say that again.
What?
A search and recovery diver.
Search recovery.
Yeah. So bodies, evidence, cars, and stuff like that. You go into different places to go and learn.
At age 17.
At 7 and 18. So we used to go down. I had a friend who's now retired Metro Dade, but he was a deputy there, and he was in the dive team. So we would help train some of his guys. He would help train some of our guys, and we would get them certified. We went into a canal, which was dark, and it's a place where there's a lot of cars. But funny enough, as soon as you drop down a certain amount of feet, you can see a lot. Like, it's just the darkness up front.
Yeah.
But I remember the part that freaked me out the worst ever with an alligator is I came down and started going dive, and as soon as I dropped below that little mist cover, I came face to face with an alligator. And I guess he sensed me at the same time I was screaming into my my air thing, and I screamed and started going the other way, and he just flipped and went the other way. But I was like, I'm out, I'm done, I'm not going back in there. Let's go find another place to dive. So I did end up going back, but that was my worst encounter with an alligator.
Man.
See,
That,
my version of that story is Katie jumps in the water, comes face to face with the alligator. We have to throw that suit away because I just went to work in that
no
suit.
one can use it.
And then he's like, "Yeah, that was my worst encounter." And then you went back to that spot.
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
See,
no.
I quit on the spot. I turned in my stuff right
Yeah,
there.
yeah. You'll get the letter, the resignation warning.
No, you ain't getting no letter. You can have
Yeah.
this thank you suit after I'm done with it.
So, yeah, definitely a lot of experience with alligators, but that was my worst one, scariest one, if you want to say. So,
I couldn't do it. Couldn't do it.
Man.
Just the thought of like, because you hear us in Texas, oh, alligators are rampant in Florida. Everywhere you go,
Yeah.
every little pond and lake.
Pools. Is
Yeah, it's like, so when you go, hey, your job is to dive. No, that's not what I signed up for. Like, no. Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Very much so.
definitely have had a lot of encounters with alligators while on the job, just because animal control out in Orange County, where I used to work at the sheriff's office, took forever to get there. And there would be, little 5 foot, 6 foot alligators, 3 feet, and we always had a lasso so that we could just lasso, let them roll, and they would kind of roll up, and then you just kind of jump on them. We always had duct tape the mouths and then wait for animal control.
It made it sound so easy.
Very much. Just simple.
I'm a lasso, little electric tape.
Tape them up. Just
Ah,
wait
got
for
it.
animal service.
Bro, let me tell you something.
Like a holy bit.
I would pull both of my hamstrings running. Yeah, you just see a black blur. Just what happened to him? Oh, there's an alligator over there.
Katie was here.
Yeah. Holy smokes.
Yeah. It's just kind of something that you think about it afterwards and you're like, man, what was I doing? Especially the older you get, you're like, man, I pulled some things that I should not have pulled. We've all been there, but it's like you don't really think about it at the time. And it's part of the culture of being in Florida is you're going to deal with it. And the supervisors, other officers tell you, hey, you're going to be dealing with alligators. You should have a little lasso, some duct tape and stuff like that because animal control takes forever. And it's like, okay. And then, you go through your little shock like, I'm sorry, I'm going to be what? But then you do it and you're like, all right, I did that. Damn, okay.
Man.
And you get used to it. It's kind of like the hurricanes.
Yeah. Look, so here, Whitney, we go down to our squad car, and you make sure you got like affidavits.
Right. Yes. Affidavits. Get your paperwork. That's right.
Like, Katie, grab the rope and get your duct tape. Man, who are we about to kidnap? What are we doing?
That is what this sounds like.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I would just be so scared. So even on the little ones, you said like 5-footers?
Yeah, once it started getting up there, 5, 6 feet, then you start like,
Yeah.
and you try to protect people, but those things get not necessarily aggressive; they just get desperate, and so they start like moving all kinds of places and running at people, and people are like freaking out and stuff like that. So you do what you can, but once it starts getting up there, then you got to wait and you do what you can.
Yeah. Have you ever had to shoot one?
No.
Oh, okay.
Nope.
Good eating. Don't waste no meat now. If you gonna pop that
Gator
thing,
is good.
Yeah,
it's
I'm
very
telling you.
tasty.
I'm all about that.
Katie's like, I don't want to see one.
Yeah.
But I'll eat one.
Yeah, that's the only way.
Yeah, we ain't wasting no meat now. Oh man. Okay, so you're in Florida. How do you even get into law enforcement over there?
So over there were a couple places that sponsored, and I actually tried to get on with the Orlando Police Department, and ended up losing out to someone with military experience combined with some college degree.
Oh, okay.
So he got the last spot before I did. So that was my first route, trying to get in, because I'm like, dude, I would love to get sponsored through, because if not, I have to go to like a night academy because I got to work through during the day.
Okay, so sponsored.
Kind of like here when we were sponsored, like you get the academy, they're paying you to be going through the academy.
Oh, okay.
That was one of the only places doing it over there, so I just missed out on that. But I was still determined. I'm like, I'm going to become a cop, and I want to become a cop. So I ended up applying to one of the local colleges that had an academy, and I did a 9-month night academy while I worked 8 hours construction during the day. Then Monday through Thursday, 6 to 10 was the academy. Yeah. We got a break on Friday, and then Saturday was all day.
That's dedication.
That is.
Yeah. I wanted to be one, and I'm like, I got to do what I got to do. Yeah. This didn't end up working out, so now I'm going to go.
Yeah.
So
where did that come from as far as you making the decision, I want to be a police officer?
Growing up, I've always had a strong sense of right and wrong and justice, and I didn't like seeing my friends bullied. And I don't like people having something over someone else and making them do things that they don't want to do. And I saw a lot of that growing up, and I'm just like, it never sat well with me. And so I actually got into a few fights, always trying to protect someone or protect myself. And so growing up, I'm just like, you know what? I want to be a voice for people who need someone to defend them, need someone to stand up for them. And so I actually wanted to become a police officer when I was 18, but my parents freaked out and talked me out of it. So then I waited a few years, and then I met my wife in 2003, and I told her, I'm like, this is what I've thought about doing. And at that time we were just dating, and she was like, you should do it. Yep. You have the drive behind you. You have this moral sense, like you should do it. And she encouraged me, and so I was like, you know what, I'm going to do it. So that started my journey of wanting to become a police officer and actually going through with it. Yeah. So,
was it like a similar process? So joining over there in Florida and then coming here, like what's the difference?
So because of the way I went is I was unsponsored going through up to the 2 weeks before I was done at the academy, and by then we had started turning in applications, and I put applications in for 13 different agencies, and I got interest back from a few of them. So then it came down to who did I want to work for.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So at the time there was the police department down there, Cocoa Police Department, was paying more than anyone else, and I was
Cocoa Police Department.
Yeah.
Some cool names.
Those are some really cool names.
Yeah.
So they took me through a tour. The lieutenant was there, was talking to me, but I heard some rumblings on the back end, just like there might be some issues that are going through on the command staff. There might be some changes, and they might be having a pay freeze. So I ended up choosing the Brevard County Sheriff's Office, which at the time was about $5,000 less, but I knew a major there, and he was like, we're going to be changing some things, so it would get better as soon as you got here. Yeah. So 2 weeks before I got done with the academy, they hired me, so I was able to quit my construction job and go work at the records department for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And then got sworn in and then started, the same process, 2 months of going through, here's how you're going to become a Brevard County deputy sheriff. So, and then FTO.
And so at that time, when you was sworn in, you were married?
Yes.
Okay. Did y'all have little ones then? Or?
Yes. Actually, no, we didn't have our little one yet.
Okay.
Yeah. No, that was the next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I got hired in 2005, and then 2006 we had our firstborn.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, how was it, or how did you hear about and even make your way to Texas, leaving Florida and all those hurricanes?
It's an interesting story. That actually came at a pretty low point in my life where morale was bad where I was at. Okay. And Orlando area isn't known to be very supportive towards law enforcement. And we were feeling that. And that was when a lot of things were going negative towards law enforcement. And it was kind of a constant barrage. And you start questioning yourself. It's just kind of like, what am I doing this for? Yeah. Like, no one cares. Actually, no one wants me to. And I remember it was right before the Super Bowl, like 2 days, and I looked at my wife and I was like, I think I'm done with law enforcement. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm done. I'm like, no one wants us here. We get constantly jeered at and called out and stuff like that the whole time. It's like, I have a great heart and I want to help these people, but it doesn't seem like they want me to. So why am I doing this? Well, we didn't realize getting into law enforcement that's a family thing. It really affects your family. And it was just naive of me not to think that it wouldn't, but I just didn't. And then as soon as you start realizing how much it starts affecting the whole family. Yes, and it's a family kind of business type of thing. Yeah. And so she had joined some police wife support groups on Facebook. And she happened to know two of the wives here, Nicole Hansen, who was Eric Hansen's wife, who's one of our retired sergeants. He actually was my retired sergeant here. Yeah. And Debbie Wallace, JJ's. So she just reached out like, hey, guys, say a prayer, for my husband. He's kind of going through a tough time now, and he's thinking about quitting. And Nicole just happened to be like, well, why doesn't he come here? And she's like, don't joke, He's like, no, seriously, why? Have you not looked at the lateral program? So they sent us all the information. And I read it, and I'm like, okay, maybe this is a possibility. And it ended up working out because her family lives here in Dallas. So I didn't even know. I was just like, Grand Prairie, I'm like, where is that? And I'm like, oh, it's right by close to your dad. And so then I probably had a couple-hour conversation with JJ. He was nice enough to get on the phone with me and answer some questions. And I grilled him because I'm like, I'm not jumping from one bad place to another bad place. I don't care if the money's better, which it was significantly. But once I finished talking to him, it was really, really good. And I was just very encouraged. So I'm like, okay, let's start. So we started the process, and here we are, almost 9 years later.
Yeah. How awesome is that? I love that.
Yeah. How was the process for you? So as an out-of-state lateral, so those that are listening, yes, we have the lateral program where you can bring your years of service. They're going to plug you right in. They're going to look at the chart and go, okay, you got 5 years of service. You start off at that pay and you're off and running. Right. If you're within the state, I think the TMRS just transfer. Like you can still retire at 20 years total. Yep. So that's awesome. But how did that work for you coming from Florida?
Same thing. TMRS got all my information from Florida, pulled it over, and they said, you're coming in as I came in as a 7-year at the time because that was the max at Grand Prairie, 7-year officer, but 10 years in the TMRS.
That's awesome.
So now I'm almost at 19 and, looking at the retirement age coming up soon where I could be eligible. And I'm like,
Yeah.
how did it get here so fast?
So fast.
It's just crazy.
Yeah, and for our listeners, yes, that's right. Be jealous. GP, you can retire in 20 years. Just so
That's
you know.
right.
I love saying that because everybody's like, what? 25. I know. Most other cities are 25.
Yep.
But, and I don't know. There's some research behind it, but like the data, we don't live that long and we eat like crap and we're, not taking care of ourselves and physically. So I'm like, no, I think that was a good thing.
Yeah.
Lowered it down to 20 and you can, get your ducks lined up and you can go. So that's awesome.
Yeah, officers choose to eat like crap though. You can
Yeah.
you can make it happen and not.
Yes.
So
Trust me. I agree wholeheartedly.
yeah.
Okay, so when you said, okay, we're going to Grand Prairie, at that time you're married, no kids?
No, we have kids, our 3 kids. The 3 youngest.
Yeah, when you decided to come.
Yep.
All right. So like no hesitation though by your wife, like, oh wait, their school is here, or they're
We homeschool our kids. So
Oh.
it was for us, it was just like we're just different home.
Yeah.
let's
Just we're gonna find our home.
Yeah.
Find a house.
Funny enough, because of like how tight it was financially over where I came from, because I got a significant bump coming over here. We only had enough money to get me over here to be able to do like the background and all that type of stuff that I needed to do here, but not enough money to come see and find a house. So we had somebody that helped us get our house on FaceTime.
What?
No, that is
That is.
Just
That
like, all right,
is-
show us.
spin around.
Yeah.
Spin
Right
around. Spin around.
Yep.
Stop. Oh,
me see
babe,
the
look at that. Look at that. Yeah, I can do that.
Because we were looking
see the
at
basket.
we were looking at 2 different houses, and one we were like, that's the one, and then we saw it on FaceTime. It's like, oh,
Yeah, it looks
that's
different.
not the one. That's
Oh.
not what they're. And then we saw the second one. It was like, there it is. That's the one.
Bought a house on FaceTime.
FaceTime.
Man.
I think you're the first.
Faith. I just gotta have faith, and it was like
Yeah.
we felt it was the
Amen.
right move.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
knew it was the right move, so we did it.
And
Yeah.
it sounded like everything was lining up. So it's even
It
more
did.
becoming evident of
Which was
that
so
decision.
refreshing.
Yeah.
Because even though everything wasn't going wrong at that time, it just felt like it with all the negativity that was coming our way and just lack of support at that time from command staff. It was really tough. And you just start, you get in this cycle and you start like, everything's going wrong. Everything's going
Yeah.
wrong. You look back and realize it wasn't. There was just some challenges you had to overcome. So once it came here, it was like everything just started lining up and falling in place. It was like, thank God.
Thank you, Lord.
Yeah. yeah.
Hallelujah.
Yep.
So once you got here, how was patrol? Because I know it's different. It's like, do you call it patrol at the sheriff's? Okay.
Yep.
So you work patrol over there, and then you get here and you're like, man, okay, I'm going to start over, go back to patrol, because you work nights.
I did.
Yeah.
I worked nights.
Yeah, we had to do it, what, a year and a half?
I was there, let's see, we got out 2015,
Yeah.
and then 2018 I joined the traffic unit. So
Okay,
the
yeah.
couple years that I
Couple
was on
years.
nights, it was a lot like I started out. When I started out in my first agency, there was a new sheriff, so I got hired under the new sheriff coming in, and he was a lot different than the old one, where he was like, there was an area in Cocoa that we were patrolling, and he's like, this part had the old sheriff had come to a point where it's like, bad people have that part, and we're going to let them have that part, and we're going to have this part. And he's like, no. And so the first couple of years was crazy. I mean, I've never been in so many fights, arrested so many people, because it had gone downhill.
Yeah, you're trying to get
And
it
so
back.
you're trying to get it back, and then everything changed and policing started changing across the board. So it was like, reins back.
Yeah.
So coming here was a lot. It was a lot of freedom and a reminder, kind of like how it was. It's like you have freedom to be a police officer and exercise, your discretion if you need to or not. But it was really refreshing coming over here, because it's like, we trust you. We give you a gun.
Yeah.
And that's something that should be taken seriously by anybody who wants to be a police officer. It's a serious thing to be trusted. Don't waste that trust. Make sure that you go out and prove that you can be trusted.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I remember Orlando when he was in class. He was like, "Yeah, I'm from Florida." And we was like, "Man, how'd you dump Florida to come to Texas?" But and you bring up an interesting point. You're gonna have to go through something everywhere. Like I said, we're not saying Grand Prairie is perfect, but we close.
We're close.
Look here, it's just a whole lot of stuff that we just don't have to deal with here.
Right.
But I too, like I said, I was a lateral, and you talking about, bro? We used to come in. You had to worry about your bicycle not working, the car's running hot, and it, like you said, it's just little things, and it starts to add up, and then it seems like it's just so freaking terrible. To each his own, so to speak.
No, everybody goes through their own challenges, and it's like it compounds. So then you come over here, and you're like, whew, they actually like us here, and at the same time, you have support from command, and it was like that was very refreshing.
Yeah, the command is like, no, go out there and do your job. Well, what about? I don't. That's go do your job. Bye. Y'all have a good one.
Yep.
You're like, damn, that's new.
Yeah, that is. I'm sorry, I can go. Really, I can.
Yeah, I can go over there. Yeah, and stir up something.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Go be a police officer.
Yeah.
So you're right. That is refreshing. Okay, so you're on patrol, and then you went to traffic.
Yeah.
And so, all right, so the people that are listening, you have officers that love doing things like writing tickets or working an accident. And if you're one of those officers and you don't, it's kind of like you start learning who's who. Orlando, can you help me out, bro? I got to go to the accident. Yep. And like, y'all can do those accidents now. I tell some of those guys like Bowen, y'all do them in 15, 10 minutes.
Yeah.
It take me 2 or 3 hours, my brother.
Whoa.
Yeah, because you got to get on the system
That's a big
and
difference.
like, oh yeah, you got to pick this car and turn it this way and create a turn lane. Nah, I'm not an architect. I can't do it.
It's funny though because that's not where I thought I was going. I was thinking major crimes and stuff like that. I'm like, that's what I want to do because as a sheriff in Florida, we don't work accidents. The troopers work the accidents.
Okay.
Doesn't matter where it's at. If it's a county area, troopers come and work the accident. I worked one accident one time because they were like, we're 3 or 4 hours out, and then my sergeant was like, here's the paper version, just write it out. And I'm like, I've never done it. He's like, figure it out. I'm like, so coming over, I was like, oh man, I've got to work accidents. I love traffic stops. I can do traffic stops all day, but I'm like working accidents. Yeah. And then in the academy, it's like I started playing around with the diagrams and doing the streets and turning the cars. I'm like, this is kind of fun. I'm like, could I be a traffic officer? No, I'm going to be. So then I started working as a backup to guys that were doing the CMV, commercial motor vehicles, and I started doing that. And I'm like, this is really fun. Yeah. I don't know. I can't explain it to you. It's a weird nerd thing. Yeah. But it's just, it makes sense to me. Everything clicks, and I'm like, dude, this is fun. And I'm keeping people safe. Like, if this thing rams into somebody because of bad equipment, and I can take that off, it's a bad day. So I'm in the traffic unit.
Yeah. So he's being, I don't know, he's going to be humble about it. So I'm going to brag on you a little bit. So Orlando runs the hit and run, or you investigate hit and runs.
The hit and runs.
You do commercial motor vehicles, so CMV.
And I do call-outs for vehicle crimes because if there is a criminal charge that comes off of a serious bodily injury accident or fatality, I'm one of the ones that gets called out for that. So fortunately, we're up to 3, so every 3 weeks I'm on call.
On call.
Yeah.
Holy crap. Okay, so I want to dive into CMV. And again, I don't know too much about it. I just know that that's the ones, those guys or that unit can pull over all 18-wheelers. Is it all business trucks?
It's anything that's over 26,001 pounds. Once it gets into that range, you fall under the federal regulations. Once it gets into there, everything is an administrative stop unless we see you doing some type of violation, whether or not using a turn signal. Right. Same thing like anybody else. If you're not wearing your seatbelt, we're going to pull you over. But we don't need any type of reason to stop you other than we're going to inspect your truck. So federal regulations just say just because you pick one, if they're in motion or they're in control of the vehicle, and you want to inspect it, they've got to let you inspect.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, because there's a lot of safety issues that go with that.
Okay, we'll try not to talk about this one topic for now.
'Cause now I'm
How
all
many people
fascinated.
have you pissed off by walking up and going? So I guess you have to tell them, hey, this is an administrative stop. And so
They're aware.
Oh, okay.
Oh, they are very aware. There's very few people.
Yeah.
That-
like, hey, what you doing? What's administrative? And you'd be like, sir, is this your first day? Did you just get your license?
You're new.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, because they know, and most of them, they're fine.
Yeah.
They're fine. You do get people that get pissed off.
But what if, I don't know, maybe it's like everything else. What if that 18-wheeler is like, hey, man, I have a delivery and a deadline.
Amazon.
Can you hurry up? Like, you're like, sorry.
They know it's part of the business.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we do get that. I gotta hurt. I'm like, sorry, man.
Yeah.
We're gonna go through this process. Okay. If everything works out, usually 45 minutes later we can be done inspecting. We found no issues. We've got the report typed up. Here's your copy. About 45 minutes and we're done.
Okay, stop. You said report.
Yeah. So we have to do an inspection report after we do the inspection.
Yeah.
We have to do all the information. Here's the driver's information. Here's the company's information. Here's the vehicle information. We've checked brakes. What are the brake measurements? Are you loaded? Are you overweight? Here's the scales, that we threw out on the truck. Here's what the weight is. And then at that point, you got to start listing all the violations because we use federal codes.
Yeah.
In order that's what they get the violations on. So then we've got to list all those, and we have to explain each one what it was. Here's why this violation's on here. Here's where you can find the violation.
Yeah.
And then we type the narrative.
Man, that's a true inspection.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's anywhere. It's a side street, access road, parking lot.
Doesn't matter.
We
All
put-
50 states and Canada and Mexico.
Man.
I would just start crying. If you pull me over, you're like, sir, I'm about to do an inspection. Oh, please. I haven't looked at the windshield wipers, the brakes, sir. I don't know.
The light.
But they're supposed to do a pre-trip inspection before they start or
Every
leave
trip.
every trip, or they leave a certain terminal. They're supposed to do that because stuff goes bad fast.
So are the officers before they get... No,
Hey.
I'll leave that alone. I'll leave that alone. That's crazy. Okay, so then I've heard on the radio where you go, hey, I'm going to follow them one exit up to put them out of service.
Yeah. So there's we've got a book that lists all the out of service violations and what they can be on. If your hours of service, you've gone over your hours of service. If you're not using an electronic log and you're required to do that. If you have more than 20%, 20% or more of your brakes that are out of adjustment, which means you can't stop your truck correctly and stuff like that. There's just a huge list of things that they have to keep up with. And if we find one of those, we usually try to put them somewhere where they still have access to a bathroom, they can get some drinks, they can get some food. We try not to leave them there unless they request it, like, I've got a mechanic coming. We'll be fine. I'm going to stay right here. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And if it's too bad, like I had one the other day, I had 30 violations and 3/4 of them
One person?
on vehicle and person.
Yeah.
Like altogether, 30 violations. 3/4 of them were out of service. And it's like, your truck's going to jail.
Yeah.
This is a bad truck. You're
Yeah.
not driving. You should never have been driving.
Yeah.
So,
As an employee, how do you go back and you're like, boss, I got an inspection today. Here is 30 violations, and we owe the city of Grand Prairie $21,313.
Man.
Wow.
Is it the company? Well, you said him too, though. So it's on the company and the driver?
it depends. It depends because, like, if they're just the driver, a lot of times the company will handle anything with the truck. But as the driver, you're still required to do a pre-trip inspections. You're supposed to catch a lot of this stuff. You're supposed to see my tire's thread is way low. I need to replace that tire, or that tire's flat, or look, there's a brake line that's hanging down and not even connected. These are simple things that you can walk around the truck and go, it's pretty obvious. And they're supposed to be receiving training to catch these things, but a lot of them Time is money,
Yeah, I was
and
gonna
they're
say.
just going to go.
Yeah.
So it's just like I had one today. I stopped him because he was in a no truck route, and then I passed his hoses, and his hoses are cracking and breaking between the truck and the trailer, and I'm like, you're not going anywhere till you replace these hoses. And that's something he should have caught. It was pretty obvious.
Yeah.
But they get lazy or they get in a hurry. And when you're talking about a vehicle that's anywhere upwards of 49,000 to 80-some thousand pounds, and something goes wrong, you can hurt a lot of people.
Yeah.
So
you're gonna kill a lot of people.
and
trying to
that
stop
too, that can happen as
Yeah.
well. So I enjoy getting those guys off the streets and making sure that they fix their stuff.
So, okay, so if you go out of service, who can put them back in service?
It's them putting themselves back in service because we usually slap on a sticker. Here's the time they went out of service. Here's the inspection report number. And then our reports get uploaded immediately at the end of the shift. So if they decide to circumvent the system, and I'm going to drive anyways and not fix anything, and then you get stopped
Again.
and you're in an out of service violation order, then you go to jail.
Your truck and you go to jail.
You
this time.
both go to jail.
And don't have any food on the back of it because we're gonna unplug this. I ain't plugging it in. It's in the spoil. Oh man.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I hear it all the time. Not all the time, but you hear the guys on the radio like, "Oh yeah, I'm gonna follow this truck up to such and such exit and put them out of service." And I'm like, but I never hear them go, "Okay, that truck is back in service."
Yeah.
So I'm always wondering, like, well, who does it? Does somebody have to go back out and go, "Okay, you fix this, you fix this, you fix that"?
No.
And then you go.
And we catch them all the time. That's like they decided not to.
Yeah.
And we catch them. So then we can go. All the reports are on a database where we can all go back and look at them and go, "Oh, I'm sorry. 6 days ago, you were put out of service for all this type of stuff.
And
They're not fixed.
Yeah.
Bad day."
No.
Okay, you don't have to give me specifics, but throw out some numbers. Like, what's an expensive ticket? Because in patrol, it's no insurance. It's like $500. I think a handicap spot
It's
is
like 750, 500,
I
something
think
like
that's
that.
a second offense.
Okay,
but yeah,
you're right. That's like the second offense.
It's expensive. But what's an expensive ticket on your end?
Minimum for a non-hazardous. So let's say you had a turn signal out and I wanted to give you a citation for that. That's a $200 citation, just kind of like what everything else.
Yeah.
Anything that's hazardous is $500. And then the weight tickets, that can start going from $500 up to $10,000 or more.
Man.
You see me on that scale. So you finna weigh my truck? Okay, hold on. I'll be at the top.
I love it.
Throwing stuff out.
Then we'll get you for littering.
Yeah. Both ends.
Yeah, thank you, sir. That's one ticket. Okay, that's another
2
one.
tickets.
Yeah, dang.
No.
Yeah.
$10,000. I would just cry. There's nothing I can say to my boss, but
No.
because the boss is gonna say, "No, I entrusted you to operate this machinery, and you went over the weight limit or whatever."
Yeah, but a lot of the bosses tell them to do it because they know that they can get a certain amount done and they're going to get away with it a lot of times.
Yeah.
And that one time they're like, cost of doing business.
Yeah,
which
chump
is
change.
terrible.
Yeah.
It is terrible.
Well, but like you said, though, I think the note system is what, you know what I mean? Like, because if I saw that truck later, because some of these trucks are, I guess, same area, so to speak. But yeah, it's just like, oh, I saw that truck earlier, and let me do it. What's it called? Administrative stop?
Administrative stop.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So can you walk up to somebody and go, "Look, I got an administrative stop 2 hours ago," and you're like, "Okay, well, that was in another city. I'm gonna do another one."
Oh, that actually happened a lot. There was I won't say who the agency is, but they used to have a couple guys that were questionable on how they did the inspections. And I knew if I saw their name on the inspection, like I was just done, inspected 2 hours ago or yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'm still going to inspect your truck. And most of the time, I would get them out of service just because
So they just not doing their job.
they just weren't doing it right.
And you can see their inspections.
Yeah,
So
you can go back
see-
and go,
Yeah.
okay, here's all the stuff. And you see like the stuff that didn't get marked down. And you're like, that hasn't gone bad in 2 days.
Yeah.
Like that's been bad for a long time. Yeah. So
No, okay, wait. Nah, how do you fix that? Because, like, I'm finna call up that agency, maybe that chief. Look, what are your people doing?
We had conversations with some of the other guys in there, and they started putting it on their radar. And I don't know what happened as to why they left or if they got kicked out or what. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But eventually, like, they're no longer part of the units. Like, so then you see, the quality of inspections go up with that agency.
Yeah,
So
that's crazy.
yeah,
That
you want to do
is.
some shady. Man, get out of here.
just do your job right.
Yeah.
just
Good
do your
job.
job right.
Or here's. No, let me go. I know my brakes are bad.
Has that ever happened to you?
Where
Has
they-
someone?
They bribe you.
Okay.
No, because then they're dealing with federal penalties, and
Yeah.
they know
Yeah.
it.
Bribe. Right. Say it again, sir. How much money? Let me
I'm
get
sorry.
that.
How much did you say?
What did you? Okay.
Go ahead and turn around. Put your hands behind your back. Oh man.
Yeah.
So, and that's the life of CMV. So, I've seen some of the tools. Now, this is where it gets crazy. So, I backed an officer doing one right there off of Lake Ridge and 20. And he wheels out some little, I guess, backboard or something so that you can, like, slide up under there. And he had instruments in his hand, and he was like, he was talking me through it. And I'm like a little kid. I said, okay, you're going to measure what? Oh, the brake
Brake chambers.
Yeah.
Yeah, the brake chamber tool to measure the brake size.
And I was just like, so I just stood there, make sure, cars don't come
Yeah.
up on it. I'm like, man, this is an inspection. How y'all doing?
We're fine.
Yeah, we're
Keep
good.
going.
He slide up under there like he been to drop a transmission or something.
Yeah.
I'm like, holy crap. And then Tuba walks in and just covered in dirt. He's like, yeah, just done a few inspections. I'm like, bro, what is your cleaner's bill? Like, you got to wash your uniform every day.
Every day. So we got 2 uniforms for right now, and we got
Wait a minute.
got 2
uniforms.
2 uniforms.
But you work a 4 or 5 day work week.
4 days.
Man.
Yeah.
Okay,
so-
let me send an email to Chief and Quartermaster. We're gonna get you some more
Double that
uniforms.
up.
No, you know what? It's gotten so much better. Chief Abudo decided to do a ride along with us when he was over our unit, and just to kind of see, the day in the life.
Shout out to Chief.
Yeah.
We
That's
need
awesome.
more of that in all cities,
Right.
not
Yeah.
just
Which is
GP in all
because
cities.
and that's I think a lot of people once they start promoting is like they forget where they came from. And I really
That's the
appreciate that we
mindset.
have people that don't
Yeah.
forget where they came from.
Yeah.
And if they don't know about something, they go out and
And
find
see
out. And that was really good because it's like we've been asking for vests that we can take off because once you start getting under certain trucks, it gets tight. And having a vest on constantly, it just starts hindering what you can do, and we need to get to certain parts of the truck.
Yeah.
So now we have these vests that we can just take off real quick,
Yeah.
go under the truck. It's
Handle your
so much
business.
easier, and on summer days it's so much cooler.
Yeah.
And then we throw our vest back on, and we can finish our inspection once we're done for being under the truck. So that was really great.
Yeah, that's good stuff.
That was-
Shout out to Chief.
Shout out to Chief.
Yeah. More and more. So, we'll jump on that topic just for a little bit. It's very important as you promote, go back. If you got a question, go back to where the rubber meets the road and just simply observe, ask a question. Do a ride along. Like, let me ride out
Right.
to see what you guys may need. Let me see how you operate
Yeah.
before I promote and go, oh, you know what, I'm going to change this and we're going to start doing this. And you're like,
Right.
nah, we don't do it that way.
Right.
We haven't done it that way in 8 years.
Right. And the higher up you go, there's, unless you were one of these officers that went through the whole department, serving
True.
in every single unit, which
Yeah.
that's a lot of units.
Yeah.
There are certain things like you think that you have an understanding about, but you don't. And I'm always, I've known these guys who are officers, and now, some of them are assistant chiefs now.
Yeah.
And, that's been on all my agencies, and it's like, don't forget where you came from. We understand things are going to change for you, okay? Because now you're going to see a world
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're not privy to all
Yeah.
the time.
Yeah.
But you've got to figure out how to meld those
Yeah.
and make it work. Just don't forget, because a lot of guys do. They forget where they're from, and then they start having expectations like, but you didn't expect that of yourself when you were an officer. So, yeah.
Oh man. So CMV, I'm telling you, enforcement. I'm scared of those trucks. It's like, man, I know they only stop 18 wheelers, but I have a Chevy truck. Like, don't pull me over, bro, and inspect nothing over here because I'm scared of them. Like, because I just hear all, like they'll put you out of service, and all those tickets are $3,000. I'm sure if you get a few of them, you're gonna
Yeah.
start paying, and it don't take long.
Yeah, yeah. But we do get, with our MOU with DPS, which is who runs the DOT portion of for the state, saying, max you're going to give 2 tickets. It's unless like it's a weight citation, then you can write 3, or if it's something as far as there's a lot of safety issues, then you can go up to 3. So they're not looking at 5, 10 tickets at $500 a piece, but that does start counting towards your company score. So eventually you can rack up enough scores in the federal level where it's like, now your company is out of service.
Yeah.
And here's the things you've got to fix, or you're never getting back in the game.
Well, you probably have companies that just want to skate by and try to make as much money and spend as less as they can on the truck.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
And
that's sad. Is
and
like everything else, people trying to skate by.
There's always somebody who tries to circumvent the system.
Yeah.
So
We're gonna catch you in Grand Prairie.
Yeah, so we will.
we will.
Or
Yeah.
you all will.
So wear some good tennis shoes because you're gonna put you out of service and make you walk. Okay, I'm just kidding. Don't send that hate mail because I ain't gonna read it anyway. All right. So you get to work hit and runs. This was something that I don't know. So I hear all of the crazy stories like, oh, there was an accident, or you see the call holding, there was an accident, but the person that left their front bumper is on the ground, and the front bumper has their license plate.
Yeah.
And it was in an intersection that has 3 cameras.
Or they just leave the car there.
Yeah.
Oh wait, oh damn.
That
Okay, now that's another
That
one.
happens
Leaving the car.
a lot. They get into the accident, they leave the car there.
Like, and the car's not stolen. It's registered to somebody at your house, but you just like, yeah, I ain't gonna be able to put me behind the wheel.
So then we put your car in the pound and we put a hold on it, and then they always try to like get it out, and it's like, my car's on hold. Okay, why is your car on hold? I don't know. Who was driving your car?
Yeah.
And you hear some fantastic stories, like my cousin who I don't even know their first name really. It's like, okay, let's have a real conversation here. Okay, because we can work things out.
I know you got some
I'm
great
gonna have to
hit
sit
and run
with you.
stories.
I want to work with when you work one of these hit and runs. I'm be like, hey, Orlando, come get me.
I'm telling you, I've talked to some of the guys in our unit because being so close in that little area, you have all your cubicles. A lot of times we talk to people on speaker, and some of the conversations that you hear, I'm telling you, like if you put that together and do like a YouTube channel on that,
Yeah. Oh, I bet it's funny as hell.
Definitely.
you would probably get so many subscribers because it's just and being a police officer and you hearing stories from victims and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Like you hear stories, you're like, there's no way that's true, and then you find out it is. You just hear some stories, and it's like, or just hear some people's mentalities, like, and that's why you went to jail because you thought ramming someone was okay because they got in your way.
Well, okay, so let me ask you this: do you see an increase in road rage?
Yes,
And what do you think is a contributing factor? And I'm gonna tell you what I think it is. But
population.
there you go.
When I got here, we were at, I think, just reaching 180,000. I think we're now like 250.
Yeah, I was gonna say 175 was the number I heard when we first started.
Right.
So
right.
yeah.
So just with you getting more people in, like we're seeing a huge need for more traffic officers and more motor officers and stuff like that, just because hit and runs have increased, accidents have increased, and a lot of road rage, racing, reckless, a lot of that's increased, and it's just to the sheer number of people that we've had move into our area.
And you know how to fix it? I'm going on record, and I'm gonna say this: give everybody a 3-cylinder car. Bro, let me tell you something. I bought one. Oh, I have 0 road rage now. You can't drive fast. I can't cut nobody off. I'm not gonna come get you. Like, bro, let me tell you something. You talking about a slice of humble pie?
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, I just putting along. Just hey, how you doing? Yeah, feel free to cut in front of me. There's nothing I can do.
Have a nice
Step on the
day.
gas, you go up to 50 miles an hour. That's your top speed.
And it may start thinking, I'm like, man, I'm telling you, that's how you get rid of road rage. We have it now because we drive these V6, V8s, 10s, powerful. No, just get rid of it. I'm telling you, it will make a big difference.
And people just let a lot of little things bother them. It's like, I understand there's dumb people that drive. It's just like
Right.
a lot of stuff you got to let go. And the more I've done this particular job in the traffic unit and seeing what road rage and speed does to families,
Yeah.
a lot of times you're dealing with victims who are no longer there with us. But I've got to be the one to go and talk to the families and tell them your loved one, either was the victim of a road rage or someone speeding ridiculously, or they were the ones doing it. And I've got to tell them that. And that's the hardest part of my job and the part I don't like, but I'd still do it because someone needs to be there for the family.
Yeah.
We do a lot of things that are senseless that we never need to do. We never are in the situations.
Yeah.
I've been working with a victim that now he's wheelchair bound from a road rage incident. So doctor's bills, therapy, all of these things, work, everything. I mean, it's a completely new normal for him, but he's wheelchair bound from this, from driving.
It's just not worth it.
It's
not worth it.
But again, if you think it, just go out and get yourself a Dodge Dart
There you go.
with a few horses under the hood, and I guarantee you'll calm down, bro. It's a new look on life for me, bro. I'm just like I just put along.
Great gas bill though.
Yes, now that I can appreciate, but yeah, trying to fill up my truck. Oh, gee,
Yeah.
$80-something. Yeah,
Yeah, that's how it is for my Suburban.
yeah. So are there any cases, especially the hit and runs, that like just really stick out? Without getting into detail, of course, but are there any cases or any accidents that just really stick out? Because were you working when, I don't know, they said the guy may have fell asleep driving 30 and like come off the bridge and fell down below?
Are you talking about that semi with the
Yes.
carrying the milk?
Yeah.
I still got that video. And he got
he
hurt,
asleep?
but yeah, he fell asleep, and it's just you see this semi just barreling down, and then you've got, I don't know if it's like a 10 or 12-foot drop there, but it's just and you see the milk go
just-
everywhere. But
Man.
one of the hardest ones I've worked recently, and it was just crazy, unlucky incident. We had a guy traveling quickly on one of our interstates, and he just happened to be passing a bunch of people because he was late, whatever it is that he was, and we had a car with several people in it on the shoulder that was disabled, and he lost control, and 2 of the 3 no longer here. And it's just like, and we have video of it that we happened to catch on the interstate, and it was just like, it's just the timing of everything just was so unfortunate.
Yeah.
And you get, you see what's happening, and it's hard to watch, and then you've got to talk to family.
Yeah.
I still talk to family these days, just letting them know what's going on.
Oh, because it's ongoing. They may go to trial or something.
It's already at the DA's office, but it's just like I try to stay in contact with them just to let them know what's going on, because it's a whole process for them.
Yeah, true.
So
True. Man. Okay, so I want to ask, do you think it's worth the purchase? Everybody now is talking about some camera system that you can kind of put up on your rear view, but it's facing forward, because usually that's...
I would get one for forward and back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would, because you get people that are trying to do things for insurance and do fraud, and they will claim some wild stuff, and then you get to see the camera, and you're like, okay, let's have a conversation. You see that look in their face like, oh, great, I got caught in a lie.
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. Now we're going to have a different conversation. So I would recommend absolutely front and back facing cameras.
I've seen that.
Okay. Yeah, me too. Hello, TikTok. I'll be ordering one.
And you see them very confident with their stories, and then the person's like, I got video, and you see them like just everything goes out of them like, oh.
Don't you?
And I'm like, I would like to see that video.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to come in here and lie.
Yeah.
All right, so then another thing that people always ask me, especially when I'm out in the community, hey, are there cameras on every intersection? I said, nah, not every one of them, but
No.
some of them, the big ones,
Yeah.
yes.
Yes, we've got a lot of cameras in a lot of places, but everyone seems to think that one camera at the center of the top of the light always is, oh, you have camera there. It's like, yeah, no, that's the sensor that's picking up all the motions for who's in the street at this point, when do we need
The
to signal the
timing,
light change and
yeah.
stuff like that. I was like, that's not a camera that records.
Yeah.
But everybody calls me, every single person that's, I didn't get a license plate, but you have video there. And it's like, no, we don't. We don't have.
Go check the footage. You
Yeah.
have it.
I'm looking at the footage, sir. Ain't none.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
man.
but we're well equipped with, with a lot of cameras here that let us see a lot of our intersections where we do have issues with, and it helps out a lot because you can see who ran the red light, who ran the green light, or who had the green light, and then stories get fixed.
Yeah. And do you have to answer, I guess, questions from like insurance agencies all the time?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. We would get, like what was happening? What did they say? So, and they work with us as well because a lot of times it's like, well, our driver provided a statement to us. I'm like, well, I've been trying to get a hold of him for 4 weeks, so can I have that statement?
Yeah.
And so a lot of times it's just as simple as a memorandum or a subpoena, and they'll send you the information.
Yeah.
So very enlightening.
Simple.
Okay. Anything else?
FTO.
Yes.
that
Okay. So you were an FTO here,
Yes.
but as well in Florida.
Yep.
What was the difference? And you better say the officer here was squared away and we were better.
That word.
So FTOing in my previous agency was challenging because of the time that we were going through everything. There was so many things that were changing, and we were having to adapt to everything that was changing and the new requests that were being made of us. So it was great. I always wanted to be an FTO because I wanted to, like, if I'm, I had people who invested in me. I want to invest in people as well and see, good officers come out because I took the time to, help them on their journey, just like other people helped me. So I enjoyed my time FTOing here because also we were severely short on manpower at our last agency. So before I came here, 3 weeks out of the last year and a half, I didn't have somebody with me. So there was 3 weeks that I got to be free riding by
Solo.
myself
Solo.
and was enjoying. So here was nice. There was a lot more spacing.
Yeah.
We had the support from command staff and stuff here. So yeah, I enjoyed my time FTOing here as well, a lot more.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I consider myself an FTO. I teach people how to ride a bike. Not really. They won't give me strikes for that. Okay, so wrapping up. So we always ask the guests, what words of wisdom or encouragement, or what would you tell somebody that wants to be, especially like this, wants to come over to Vehicle Crimes Unit? What would you say?
Oh, that's a really good question. Understand that people are people, and it's not always black and white. Now, while we have things that we have to do that are black and white because we're following the law, we have a box that we have to fit in. A lot of times, like I've seen throughout my journey, police officers making fun of people or judging people. We're all the same.
True.
Just take the time to be empathetic. You can still enforce the law, and you can still be empathetic or understanding, or realize that someone is full of crap, and your meter is going off,
Yeah.
and hold them responsible as well. But again, there's no need to be disrespectful. There's no need to degrade somebody.
Yeah.
That's one thing that has always bothered me, and one of my motivating factors was like, I want to come in and be a different kind of police officer where it's like, I'm not in any special club. I'm not a special person, that's like cut from some weird planet that you're a police officer because, no, I'm still a person just like everybody else. I go through things like everybody else, hard times, great times.
Yeah.
I want to treat people like I want to be treated. And so I've tried to keep that consistent across my life. So like anyone who would be wanting to come to our unit or become a police officer from the very get-go, don't forget that.
Yeah.
Just don't forget that people are people, and you can get a lot further with people by being kind, yet still holding them accountable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll jump on the bandwagon. I too agree. Like, people always ask me in 15 years of doing it, like, what are some of the highest moments? I always tell them, I took a guy to jail that turned around once you take the handcuffs off, and and he shook my head and said, "Thank you." He goes, "Thank you for treating me with respect and not talking to me like some of these other officers did." And I was like, I said, "Bro, what do you mean?" I said, "The difference between me and you is simply a choice." That was it. I said, "I could easily be where you are if I gave you my story." And he was like, "Man, well, I appreciate it." So being nice, being courteous, just being respectful. You don't have to be a freaking cop to do it. Everybody should try to do that in your life. And
Absolutely.
It'll make the world a better place. So there's my soapbox.
I love it.
Yes. All
Good
right.
soapbox.
Yeah. Well, bro, I appreciate you sitting down with us.
Thank you, guys. I
Yeah.
really
Thank you.
enjoyed this. This has been fun reminiscing.
Yeah. So until next time, we will check y'all later.